Is up? NSP Football Talk. Sorry if you guys hear an echo because my apartment now is pretty empty as we are in the final stages of our move, hopefully. Anyways, guys, this is the Power Rankings video, week 13. So glad to be here. Obviously, super sad that the season is coming to an end. So there's only about I think last video I said 7 to 8, and I think I was correct there. About 8 more videos here for power rankings, but we're gonna make them all count. Okay, so towards the end of the season, going into the playoffs, I will continue to do the power rankings just because for the love of the game and just to keep football alive as long as possible here on the channel. Obviously, today I am recording on Thanksgiving morning before all the festivities and a couple more loads of furniture and boxes going to the new house. But other than that, guys, we will get started here. As always, it was a great week 12. Reed, AJ, and I were actually in Lambeau Field watching the Packers beat the Vikings. Not going to say too much there, but obviously a pretty big beatdown in the Packers' perspective there against a divisional rival. Great game, great week of football, and let's get right into it. Obviously, we will have our grading criteria. The offensive and defensive grading is points scored or points allowed, offensive and defensive efficiency, strength of defensive and offensive matchups. So, obviously, we get right into it. At number 1, we have the LA Rams still. They are just one of the better teams at this point in time. Beating the heck out of the Buccaneers this past game. I cannot believe that it was that bad of a game for the Buccaneers, but it was horrible Sunday night football game to watch, to be honest. But glad that the Buccaneers made it out alive, basically. But obviously, for many reasons, offensive and defensive here for the Rams. They are just the number one powerhouse team. I really can't say too much more about them, basically. But next week, hopefully, we have the upset of the century and the Panthers come in and get a W at home against the LA Rams. That would make my day on Sunday. So we'll see what happens, guys. But obviously, I do think the Rams are heavily favored here at this point in time that I'm recording. They're favored by 10.5 points. I think that's a comfortable margin to see what they just did against the Buccaneers. But Carolina is a little bit more functioning right now than the Buccaneers are. So hopefully they can get some pesky defensive turnovers as well as some touchdowns here and there. Other than that, guys, let me know. Do you think the Rams are the juggernaut? Do you think they are the favorites right now to win the Super Bowl? Or at least just go to the Super Bowl on the NFC side? Let me know down in the comments. They are sitting at 9-2. At the end of this video, I will bring up the playoff rankings just to see who is in the hunt, and who is trying to stay alive. Sitting here at number 2, I have the New England Patriots. Obviously, they also won this past week, 26-20 against the Cincinnati Bengals. It was a good one. Obviously, neck and neck like anticipated. I thought New England would at least win by 8. I chose them to win against the spread here, but they didn't. That's okay. Still getting a dub here. Also moving up in the rankings on the AFC side, as they are the top team, if not, in the playoff rankings. To me, they are the top team in the AFC. But obviously, coming into this next week, they are going to be playing up against the New York Giants. It should be a dub, in my opinion. Literally, if you reverse their records at 10-2 versus the New York Giants 2-10, that's how it sits. This one's a Monday Night Football game. Hopefully, it's a good one, right? We've seen the Giants in past years when obviously Tom Brady was there have some really good games against the Patriots. So I'm hoping this one's just a really good game, as the Giants' defense is actually pretty decent and has been decent all year. But New England is just on another level, right? So we'll see what happens here. This one should be an easy dub for the New England Patriots at home. It's not a far flight or drive for the New York Giants, but it is not a home game for them, if it even matters. But other than that, guys, do you think New England is the best team in the NFL at this point in time? Their record shows it, as they are one of the only teams here that have not had their late bye week. Fun thing about this week is that nobody has a bye week. So we will see all 16 games this week, starting today when this video releases at 12. So if you are having a great Thanksgiving already, put it down in the comments, give the video a like, as well as comment happy Thanksgiving. Sitting here at number 3, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, they're playing pretty well. They could be playing even better. This past week against the Titans was not a game that I really liked. I only tuned in for about maybe half of it just because it was the same time that we were there for the Packers and Vikings game live. So for obvious reasons, this was a game that I thought, we could win for sure. And I thought for sure we could win against the spread, and we were. But our defense at the end of the game just gave up too much. Again, Mike McDonald was kind of playing a little bit softer there, but Cam Ward, I got to give him his flowers. He played really well. He's a dog, and I hope that he continues to play like this throughout the rest of the season, as well as going into next season. It really doesn't have too much to play for, right? But at this point in time, it's just, for the love of the game. Like I said, with him, he's just a dog. So I hope he continues to bring that mentality, and hopefully this organization does him well and drafts, offensive line in the trenches and stuff like that, just to get this team better, because it all starts there. But obviously Seattle put up 30 points, which is good for any team to win. But we gave up 24. So defense definitely took a knock here. But the defense still produced a lot. It's just that the Tennessee Titans were catching breaks here and there. Our special teams was not as good this game, but again, just need to tighten up some things there. And like Mike McDonald said in his press conference, this is a game that we're glad that we got the win, but there's a lot of work to be done, especially with the amount of points that we gave up here. JSN still number 1 wide receiver, chasing that record there to beat Calvin Johnson's all-time yards in a season record. Obviously, he has the extra game, but there is a possibility that he could do it without that extra game. And if you look at it, I mean, he's been sat for 4 quarters. So basically, any of y'all that say, he did it with an extra game, well, he didn't play 4 quarters already. So he's on pace to beat this record by at least, I think it was like 60 to 70 yards, even with only basically 10 games played, as we've only played 11 games as a Seahawks team. So there you go. At number 4, I have the Packers moving up a lot of spots here, 10-4 this week with a great win against the Vikings. I would have loved to see a little bit more from Jordan Love there on the offensive side. Obviously, Josh Jacobs was not in. Emmanuel Wilson had a game, but they played well, right? Obviously, defense was great. They had a lot of turnovers against a young J.J. McCarthy and that offense there. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy rattled up, not going to be playing this week against the Seattle Seahawks, so I'm glad about that. Could be an easy kind of mellow type win for us. But obviously, the Green Bay Packers next week are going to play right now as this video is releasing. They sit at 7-3-1, and they are trailing right now to the Bears, and the Detroit Lions are nipping at their heels at 7-4. Obviously, the Chicago Bulls are 8-3. I will show the playoff bracket later, but the Packers need to win. The Lions need to win. This is going to be a really good game. Detroit is favored by 3 as the home team today, but it is great, right? You love to see the NFC North facing out like this with 3 teams as juggernauts. Last year, it was the Bears as the odd man out. Now it's the Vikings as they moved on from Sam Darnold. But the Green Bay Packers, they look good on defense, right? With Mike Parsons there, he disrupts a lot with a defensive line that they've accumulated in some of these younger guys and guys that are in their first big boy contracts after their rookie deals are finally playing pretty well. Obviously, the offense is, for me, the problem here. They played well enough to put, quite a bit of points up on the board. 23 points. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. I think they can do more. And this is the game that they're going to have to show it, right? A divisional game against a really juggernaut offense. They're going to either have to keep up or that defense is going to have to smother this offense. So, a really tough game here for Green Bay. It's going to shake out a lot of kind of things here. If they lose, they could see themselves out of the playoff picture so far, which I will show later. But if they win, then they solidify themselves, hopefully, as a playoff lock-in with a couple more wins after this one. Sitting here at number 5, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, another team playing well so far. They sit at 6-5, which is not spectacular, right? One of the lower seeds and records here at this point in time, as they are not even in the playoff picture right now. They are in the hunt. In the AFC side, but they beat one of the solidified teams in the playoff running right now. Obviously, there is some skepticism if Indianapolis is going to make it far in the playoffs, but at this point in time, they really have a tough schedule at the end of the year, and they could end up seeing themselves on the way out here. Obviously, they are third in their division at this point in time, sitting at 8-3. They are number 3 right now, but in their division, sorry, my bad. In their division, they are at number 1, but trailed by Jacksonville sitting at 7-4 and Houston sitting at 6-5. So like I said, they could see themselves on the way out. Their spot is not solidified, and you kind of hate to see it, right? A team that's playing extremely well, but the Chiefs, took them down 23-20. So the Chiefs look good on defense, obviously, only allowing 20 points to a very high scoring offense in the Colts, but still a lot to work on. They have another team they're facing this week. It's an away game. As they sit at 6-5, the Cowboys sit at 5-1, who are also in the playoff hunt on the NFC side. So both these teams are hungry to try to make the playoffs. Dallas has a great offense with Pickens as well as CeeDee Lamb coming back and Javonte Williams running the ball. Ferguson at the tight end position. Kansas City, obviously, the same type of situation. They have a plethora of running backs to run through and just use and abuse. I believe Pacheco is coming back this game, so he should be playing today at 3:30. But obviously, Kelsey is aging. The wide receivers there are, pick one, choose one, whoever's going to be the guy that game. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes doing what he does every year in, year out. But they have a tough game today. We'll see if they win, and we'll see if they continue to rise or, stay in this position with the power rankings here. Sitting at number 6, I have the Detroit Lions, another team that had a pretty good win. It was a tough win, right? Obviously, in overtime here against the New York Giants. Jameis Winston, man, I really hope that this guy can finally be like a starting quarterback in this league. Obviously, I think he'll play the rest of the season. I think he should have started off the season for these Giants before Dart came in. And who knows, maybe Dart wouldn't even have started if Jameis came in and started playing like this. But obviously a tough loss there for the Giants and a good win for the Detroit Lions, who really, really needed it at this point in time. Sitting at 7-4, they are third in their division, which is pretty wild. Similar to the NFC West, we'll get to in a little bit, most likely again. But yeah, a pretty crazy division, obviously, playing the Green Bay Packers right now as this video is releasing. So make sure you tune into that game on Turkey Day on Thanksgiving. So this should be a good one. I do think the Lions are favored here by 3, and I think they could win, to be honest. The way I saw Green Bay play, defense is good, but that was against a subpar offense. So we'll see what the Detroit Lions can do here. I think they will kind of, for lack of a better term, run all over the Green Bay Packers. But I could be totally wrong. Division games are always hard to kind of scope out before the game starts. Sitting here at number 7, the only team in the top 10 here that had a bye week this past week, the Denver Broncos. Moving down one spot just because a couple of other teams played well. Obviously, nothing to report on this past week in week 12, but in week 13, obviously, they're going to be playing against the Washington Commanders. As the Denver Broncos sit at 9-2, they are obviously one of the better teams in the AFC, sitting at the number 2 spot behind New England in the playoff picture. Obviously, they are leading their division, but not by much. They're only 2 games ahead of the Chargers, 3 games ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs, who just gave them a tough game, but didn't beat them. So pretty much against these teams, they're like 2.5 and 3.5 ahead of them, just because of that tiebreaker situation. But obviously, going against the Commanders here, they should win this game on Sunday Night Football. I don't expect it to go any other way. Denver's defense is playing really well. The offense just does enough with Bo Nix. They never really won a game, from what I can remember, by double-digit points or anything like that. It's always coming down to the final seconds, which is pretty good, obviously, if you guys can pull out wins like this and be 9-2. But you are just right there from having a losing record with all these games going the opposite direction. So Denver needs to step it up a little bit, in my opinion. That's why they're not super, super high in my power rankings. I don't think they've broken the top 5 this year, even though they are a 9-2 team. It's just, the lack of not consistency, but consistent overpowering of some teams that they should overpower. So at this point in time, Broncos sit at 7, and we'll see what they can do this week. Hopefully, maybe getting a double-digit win. Sitting here at 8, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Like I said a little while ago, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 20-23. Not their best showing, obviously, on offense, but it seems like the trend has been that way when they play against tough defenses or, better tenured teams, I guess, teams that have done it longer. This week's going to be one of those weeks. Obviously, on Sunday at the 12 o'clock window here, they're going to play the Houston Texans. Obviously, the Houston Texans need to get this win to get closer to maybe making the playoffs this year, as they are in the same division. But obviously, they are also battling against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the Tennessee Titans. So getting this win would just help Jacksonville Jaguars as well as the Houston Texans and not the Indianapolis Colts. But if the Indianapolis Colts win, this is hopefully one of the daggers for the Houston Texans in the Colts' eyes, right? So that's who they'll be playing. Tough defense, tougher than Kansas City, I would say. So I could see this one being a low-scoring game unless something dramatic happens and, Daniel Jones just pulls out the Indiana Jones whip and just like corrals the Texans, So we'll see what happens here. But this one should be a good game. I think I will be tuning into this one just because I like defensive games. But we'll see what the Texans can do coming into Indy. It's going to be a very, very interesting one. Sitting here at number 9 for the first time since week 5, guys, the Chicago Bears. Last week they were sitting at 11, so they've been creeping up coming into these top 10 rankings for me, but they just never really got there, always losing a game or just playing a horrible one where I thought, maybe they're not a top 10 team. But now they've made it at number 9 here. Obviously, this past week, getting the dub against Pittsburgh, which was a pretty good one, getting the dub 31-28. They sit atop the NFC North. And at this point in time in the playoff picture, they are sitting at the number 3 spot just because of their respective record compared to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are still in the playoff spot here in that horrible division. But maybe not. The Panthers are right on their heels. So if the Panthers can get a dub here, they might be moving up. Anyways, coming into this game, they are going to be playing the Eagles. So the Eagles versus the Bears at 2 o'clock on Friday. So make sure you tune in to this one tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It's such a random time, but It is what it is. I'll be at work, so I'll miss the majority of the first half of this game. But as I'm doing notes and stuff like that, I will be watching the rest of it. So we'll see what happens. I think this is going to be a really tough one for the Bears. So this could be the break that the NFC is looking for. If Green Bay wins or Detroit wins, they will be very happy because they will probably replace the Bears here. But we'll see. Maybe the Bears surprise us and just put a whipping on the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, we saw the Dallas Cowboys do it this past week with a comeback win down 21 points. So anything's possible. But in my opinion, the Bears are going to have a really, really tough game, and we'll see if they can pull it out here in Philly. It's hard to do it there, but we'll see what they can do. And last but not least, we have the Buffalo Bills here at 10, moving down a couple spots after the horrendous loss against the Texans. Again, another one of those games where it's just like Josh Allen cannot do anything against a tough defense. And he tried to play hero ball, as some of our NSP fans have said here. NSP faithfuls, I guess you can call them. But yeah, so obviously this next week, the Bills are looking to turn it around, and they play the Pittsburgh Steelers. So another decent defense. I won't say tough anymore. Pittsburgh has been giving up a lot of points when it's being as one of the worst defenses in the league at this point in time. But obviously on the AFC side, the Bills need to win to continue to stay afloat here. They are second in their division, but they still are in the playoff picture, just barely. The Texans are right on their heels, so is Pittsburgh, and so is Kansas City. So we could be seeing a couple of teams here just trying to survive towards the end of the season as it gets closer and closer. But at this point in time, obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers just got replaced by the Baltimore Ravens, and they are hungry to get back into that playoff picture as they want to lead and win their division, possibly by going 500. But other than that, guys, the Bills are just kind of, one of those teams that's played really well in the beginning of the year and is really shaky at this point in time. So we'll see what they can do here. Need another good game from my boy Josh Allen, as I have him in one league where I am 10-2. So let's see if he can continue to do what he does. Other than that, guys, I told y'all that I would bring up the playoff picture here, so I will do that at this point in time. First, I'll do the AFC side. So as you can see, New England sits at 10-2, followed by Denver at 9-2, Indy at 8-3, Baltimore at 6-5, just coming into the playoff picture this time for the first time. The Chargers at 7-4 down in the wild card, Jacksonville at 7-4 in the wild card, Buffalo at 7-4 as well in the wild card, trying to stay alive. Followed by these three teams of Houston, Pittsburgh, and Kansas City, all sitting at 6-5, trying to push their way into the playoffs. So really tight there again in the AFC. A lot of teams that should make it for sure with their divisions. But obviously some trying to make some pushes to get the wild card positioners out. In the NFC, we have the LA Rams at 9-2, Philly at 8-3, Chicago at 8-3, Tampa Bay still in the picture at 6-5. But like I said, Carolina sitting down there at 6-6 is just half a win away from beating this team out for the division and being one of the NFC leaders. Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks, Green Bay, and San Francisco, all of our respective teams here on the NSP channel. My Seahawks sit at the 5 spot. Green Bay sits at the 6, and San Francisco sits at the 7 with pretty great records this year. But nipping at their heels is the Detroit Lions, Carolina Panthers, the Dallas Cowboys. So all these teams are trying to fight in there. Obviously, Dallas has a little bit more of a ways to go and could be seeing themselves out of that positioning after this week if they don't win. But obviously, Seattle wants to keep winning. Packers want to keep winning. The San Francisco 49ers want to keep winning. And they are all primed and ready to do that this week. It's going to be tough for the Packers the most, but the Seattle Seahawks have a really favorable game, and San Francisco has a decently favorable game against Cleveland. So we'll see what happens at this point in time, but Detroit obviously wants to get that win above the Packers to move up. Carolina obviously wants to get the win as well against the LA Rams, which I would love. to move up, and the Dallas Cowboys want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs today on Turkey Day. So we'll see what happens, guys. But here is the rest of the rankings. As you can see, San Francisco, Eagles, Cowboys, Jaguars, and the Ravens, followed by the Texans, are all nipping at the heels of trying to make it into the top 10. Some for the first time, as the Jacksonville Jaguars have not been there, and some for a couple other times as they have been there before. But sitting at 21 to 32 here, we have a lot of teams falling. Really big rise there for the Titans, for the Giants, for the Browns. Really happy about those teams finally finding some rhythm. But some teams that used to be really good, and the Commanders, maybe even in the Bengals and the Chargers, finding themselves here at the bottom half, bottom third of the league, and it just doesn't look pretty. So we'll see what happens with these teams, but obviously falling in my rankings. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you're having a spectacular Thanksgiving at this point in time, or a Thanksgiving weekend whenever you're watching this video. But thank you guys always for, helping us with the channel here, giving us likes, giving us subscribes, and obviously giving us great comments and feedback in our Discord. So if you want to join the NSP crew here, the NSP faithful, whatever you guys call us, go ahead and hit the link down in the descriptions below. We usually have our Discord linked down there. If not, go ahead and message us a comment here on this video so we can get that to you. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the like button, and of course leave a comment here on what you think of these videos and what I can do to improve. Other than that, guys, hopefully your team is in the playoffs or in the playoff push at this point in time. If not, there's still time. But anyways, guys, thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving once again. And as we always say, keep on grinding.